A lot of folks love the book. Now it is a movie and it is super hot. It is called Red, White, and Royal Blue, coming out today on Prime Video. Alonso, have you read this book? What do you know about this book?
I have read this book, which is why I'm doing the recap. And I will say, just if you're a fan of the book, be ready that this is not a word-for-word adaptation.
Oh, is it not?
Some characters are combined. Some things are different. I don't think any of it to the detriment of it. I think they had to get it all into 2 hours. But I know people get upset, like it was like the Harry Potter people, those later movies had to be so dang long because everybody got just wigged out if something was missing from the texts.
Who knows about this?
Literally no one but you. And the Secret Service. And Percy. Right, and Nora.
Oh, and I told my sister.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
This is the directorial debut of Matthew Lopez, who co-adapted, and he is best known for the recent epic queer theater piece, The Inheritance. And he is adapting the novel from Casey McQuiston. Alex Claremont Diaz, who is the son of the American president. She is played by Uma Thurman. His dad is Clifton Collins Jr., so he is biracial, and as we learn later, bisexual too. He has an ongoing sort of rivalry, grudge, enmity with Prince Henry of England, who is the younger son and adored by millions everywhere, and handsome and blonde. And Alex has to go to the UK for Prince Henry's brother's wedding, and the two of them get into a bit of a, snitty argument, the way they always do apparently when they see each other at these functions, and wind up destroying an enormous 75,000 pound in cost, not weight, wedding cake. And so they have to go and do a whole sort of PR thing to pretend like they're really great friends, and as they get to know each other, they do become legitimate friends, and then they fall in love with each other, which gets real complicated because Uma Thurman is running for re-election, and it's just a lot to deal with, but they hope to make it work.
So how is this compared to the book? You loved the book. You had great expectations for this.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the book. It's very charming. It's a lot of fun. And I think the movie gets most of the grace notes right. There are moments that you get, like Sarah Shahi's Zara Bankston, who's like the president's, I don't know if she's chief of staff or whatever, but like she catches them in a hotel room in a scene that's very funny. There's a trip to the lake house in Austin that we get in the movie. There's a big third act thing regarding the leak of their private emails to each other. And I wish the movie had given us more of those emails, because in the book, that's how so much of their relationship builds out, is in texting and in emails, where they really kind of get to know each other and they sort of confess things about their lives and their fears and their hopes and desires, and talking about books and all kinds of different stuff. And we get a taste of that in the movie, but not a lot of it. They sort of rush past that. So I'd say if you like the movie, you should go back and read the book, because there'll be new and different stuff that you won't have seen before. Whole characters like Alex's sister. But then also, if you like the book, I think the movie does a pretty good job of delivering the stuff you want from it. It's pretty steamy, and they're both real cute, and what's not to like? Right.
Taylor Zakhar Perez is Alex, and Nicholas Galitzine is Prince Henry. He was also Prince Charming in the
Camila Cabello
Cinderella, right?
And he's about to be seen in Bottoms, which I don't know if you've seen yet, but
I've not.
We'll be reviewing that later this month.
Oh yes, no. So I thought they had just terrific chemistry, like really sexy, funny, snappy chemistry.
Absolutely,
insanely hot together, right? In every way, from like the slightest flirtings to like as intimate as it gets. And I was very impressed with the candor of that, but also the restraint of that. Like they convey a whole lot without showing a whole lot in terms of passion and also emotion and what it means for both of them, because neither of them is out, and like maybe only one of them has had any kind of very limited experience as far as this goes. And they were just a lot of fun together, and just I had a big smile on my face for quite a lot of it, because they're so charming, and it's so many of the romantic comedy tropes, like they hate each other and they bicker constantly, but there's like that undercurrent of like simmering attraction. So I found that very predictable but very satisfying the way that they show it here. And I did think that the way they convey those texts was very effective, because it begins with them in their respective homes, and then like all of a sudden one of them is side by side with the other, like lying in bed or sitting on the couch, and like that was a very effective way to get them in the same room with each other.
Yeah, no, those were some good ideas, and I think to everything that you just addressed, like hiring a gay guy to write and direct this was very much a smart idea to sort of really not skimp on the passion that exists in the book. If I have a quibble here, I think there are times where the low budget is a problem. Like we get a polo match, which I thought, okay, well they're giving us this, which is horses and like it's elaborate, but there are like crowd scenes that we don't see that we should see that are just off camera somewhere, and that's awkward. There's some really bad green screen. Usually anything involving the White House lawn or the balcony, it's just like, it was appallingly bad. And I watched this at home on Prime. It wasn't even seeing this projected in the theater.
The Eiffel Tower.
There's a lot of stuff in this movie where it's like, could we, so that was a little, that took me out of it occasionally. But quibbles, for the most part, I thought this was really charming.
Yeah, and Sarah Shahi's really funny in this too.
Very
She's
much.
just really snappy and just quick with the one-liners and brings a fun energy to it.
Yeah.
I love the idea of Uma Thurman as the president.
Yeah.
And Clifton Collins is a congressman who is her husband, who is the first husband. And that's like, maybe someday.
I wish her Texas accent had been a little more committed, but it was fine.
But even though some of the technical stuff maybe wasn't, up to standard, at least like the idea of the globe trotting, and like you get the black tie gala, but you also get the polo match, but you also get like laying around in the hammock. And I think that all speaks to the jet setting nature of their lives, and also the tension with which their relationship builds, because like they're clearly in love with each other. There's a scene that takes place in a museum that I thought was very poignant, a lovely, lovely moment for them. And that speaks to just the ease with which they usually move around the world, but find increasingly difficult to do so, because what happens if we're out, and what happens if the world knows. And so I thought they handled all of that with a lot of grace.
Yeah, I especially like the way that Nicholas Galitzine really sort of performs the agony of the closet in terms of like what he wants, but what he feels like he can't have, what he feels like his family position bars him from being able to fully embrace and enjoy. And those scenes really land. I think they're really powerful. And I will say this, even though like I think the movie could have been less cheap, for a film that is set in the circles of, the presidency and the British royal family, it generally feels that way. It's not like one of those Hallmark movies set in a, royal country that speaks English with, the Fredonia or whatever, where they're in some, clapboard mansion somewhere. So for the most part, they do kind of carry off, like you said, the sort of jet set world of these folks, but there's some granular moments where it's like, oh, that looks fake,
You are the expert on this, by the way. I would never even begin to question your authority on this. Right. So what's your number?
I'll say 7.8. I think it's solidly entertaining. It's a really fun gay rom-com, and they mostly do right by the book. So I think if you are familiar with the material and you're hesitant, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised for the most part. But if you're going through page by page, yes, things are missing.
I will say an 8.2. I had a lot of fun, and I just smiled the whole way through, and they're just beautiful and charming together. So Red, White, and Royal Blue is out now on Prime Video.